What is up, guys? You are live with the Talkative Epileptic. How are y'all doing today? It's your boy, Cool Boy here, and we are here with episode 2, finally, with Matt, also known as Flamingo Gamer. Before getting into the interview that we had with Matt, well, the conversation basically, um, I actually do wanted to take the chance to thank you guys for the bit of a wait. Um, So I've been very busy with my new job that I was just hired with a few months ago. And so creating content has been, I would say, very tough to squeeze in my opinion. Because with how my job is and not only it being the field that I really admire the most, but also the schedule of how it is because there's no set schedule for it. It's been pretty tough to schedule time for, not even for like, recording interviews and, for video and audio editing, but even for streaming too. Like, for one of the things I do the most, which, is streaming on, on social media platforms like Twitch or Kick, it's been very, tough to actually schedule times to stream and especially even for scheduling interviews. But just to give like a brief update on how life's been. It's been pretty well. I'm starting to adapt to the new job, which is kind of how I was able to figure out a time to to schedule recordings and uh you know how I was able to schedule recordings and scheduling times to stream. Now I feel back in that motion that okay, I'm very comfortable with my job, and which obviously I feel this happens to a lot of people that when they begin a new job that they want to adapt to their surroundings. They want to know how the job is and what what their responsibilities are, what the how would I call it? Like how the environment is. And then you know be like, okay, now we had this stuff before, how can we level it all together? Because like for me, honestly, for instance, for me, I try to level things out, like not just with like with streaming and then uh but also like spending time with friends and personal life stuff. So it's like I'm basically balancing like streaming slash content creation, uh personal stuff, and then work at the same time. So it's it's pretty tough. But I feel now that I'm in a more comfortable part that I am ready to to balance it all out again because I know I put a lot of focus into work, but I feel like I just need to put I need like now I'm ready to put more focus onto creating creating content and streaming and doing things I love, which is like obviously with talking with all of you and having like these conversations like these. Um, but yeah, so I do appreciate you guys for obviously taking the time to wait. I know people have been waiting for a second episode for a while. Um, and obviously I am trying to figure out a more a more better schedule when it comes to creating content and whether it be streaming or making like more episodes of the Talkative Epileptic. And I also am going to be extending the invitation pretty soon for those who do want to join in and obviously join in, have a talk, whether it be topics that you're devoted to or or even just just having a basic conversation. That's really that's really all it takes. I do appreciate you guys so much for waiting. And I hope you guys enjoy the conversation that we had with Matt, also known as Flamingo Beats. So we are with the Talkative Epileptic, and we are here with Matt, also known as Flamingo Beats. How you doing, Matt?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm still waking up to this morning after our fifth attempt of recording because our schedules are so tough to align with each other, honestly.
100%. It's very tough living in two different time zones.
It really is. Especially, what is it? Especially, I think you said mountain time, right?
Yep, I live in the mountain time over here in Colorado,
Yeah.
and you're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm over in New York, so that's Eastern time.
Yeah, crazy place over there.
Nah, it's even funny because like with how you mentioned about time, like I have a bunch of friends who live on the West Coast, so every time when they're busy on Discord or just hanging out, I'm like asleep because it's like from
Yeah,
their midnight is like 3 a.m. over here, so it is so tough. And then when I wake up in the morning sometimes for work, I see that they're still on Discord, and I just because it's 3 a.m. over there,
yeah,
so obviously time zone is so difficult. Oh
yeah.
man. But how's your day been so far today?
It's not much has happened. I'm pretty much in the same position as you. Just woke up and still still trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, I feel you.
Um,
I feel you.
yeah.
Oh man. All right. So I know before you were Flamingo Beats, when I first met you, you were Flamingo Gamer.
That is correct.
And
Yeah, throwback.
I know a huge throwback. So what just to bring the what's it called? The topic up, like what got you when and why did you just start why so, when and why did you decide to start streaming?
Oh, okay. So why I decided to start streaming was because I I guess I seen a TikTok about no, it wasn't about, it was from the Stream for Epilepsy team saying that hey, you can raise money for epilepsy awareness by playing games on twitch.tv. I was like, that's the coolest thing in the world. I can play games, make money, and raise money. And this was probably early 2019 that this happened. So right before Twitch extremely took off. Um, but I really want to say I got into streaming because at the time I couldn't really figure out how I wanted to put myself out on like YouTube or Instagram as like a professional creator, because for the longest time that was my main goal, was to be a creator that is inspirational and has its own unique content for everybody to watch.
Hmm.
But I wasn't sure how to properly do that yet. So I looked out to Twitch and seen what I could do. And then I came across the Stream for Epilepsy team and ended up starting streaming for them in mid 2019. But I don't think it was until like late 2020 that I met you, or anybody else.
Okay. So when you started streaming, like was there like any like hardships you had to deal with like at the time that that kind of made it like a bit tough at the very beginning or
Um, I want to say that in like the very, very beginning,
hmm
when I was trying to figure out how do I want to do this, how do I want to reach out to people, that was probably my hardest trial, was finding other streamers I could connect with and get to like help me grow. Because when I first started, I was just downloading whatever games I had bought on Steam or Epic and just playing them for at least 4 hours a day. Because I was like, oh, I can do an XQC streamathon type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just go for as long as I can. And I got maybe 2 or 3 viewers every stream. And it was fun because in the beginning I was more focused on having fun and getting more people to follow me rather than focus on the money. And it worked out for a while. And it's not a bad thing. But I think a lot of streamers now are tending to focus on the money rather than just what it was and focusing on the um, fun and creative aspect of it.
No, I definitely, I know when I first started streaming, like, I didn't care about, the time it was going to take, like, for me to get affiliate, to start, like, earning money. Like,
Yeah,
it was, like, it was just for me to work on, like, vocal skills and stuff like that, because at the time I was also working in radio. So
yeah,
it's completely understanding on that. And I do definitely agree that, a lot of streamers are now moving I've noticed like there are like a few streamers, there are some streamers there that they do focus on, the making money aspect of, of streaming compared
yeah,
to, the content part. But it's also understanding in a way because I know with, for some people, obviously, it's a living for them, and, they want to, earn more money, which is completely understanding, in a way. But it's
yeah.
very,
Because I mean,
but it's very rare to see, um, to see, streamers who want to, who focus on both aspects, instead of one versus the other.
yeah. Because I mean, I guess if like Twitch was your only platform and your only source of income, then I would get like switching to Kick because
Mm-hmm.
now Twitch has like obliterated its pay to the point where it's not really acceptable. But we're not quite to Mixer levels of destroyed yet. Um, but I get if that was your only source of income, rather than if you were already successful on YouTube or Rumble, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, for like a lot of these larger creators, like XQC or Moist Critical, they don't really have to worry about that. That's why they're getting signed with non-exclusive contracts, um, because it doesn't really matter if they're signed to Kick. It doesn't really hurt them to go back to the other platforms.
Nah, I remember it was like like when it was like I would say like the very beginnings that's when like the exclusive like you would always see like the exclusive contracts being such a big thing, but now you see you know things are becoming less lenient as they were before, like the non-exclusive contracts, and then you see for instance for Twitch that for affiliates and for partners that they can also they could also like stream on like like while they're streaming on Twitch they could also stream like their Twitch stream on to like Instagram or TikTok, you know.
Yeah,
But obviously, simulcasting is still a big no-no, obviously, which is understanding in a way because
yeah,
you're just cloning it to, because there are some of those people who like they want to clone it to YouTube, but obviously that's a that's a big no-no still.
yeah,
So it's like there's still that fine line, like the fine line is thinned, but it's not completely gone.
yeah. And it's a hard thing to get right, especially when simulcasting is allowed into play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you'll always have that one platform that says, "Oh, sorry, no, we don't want that."
Yeah, I know for me, like that was before I even decided to, to do that. Because I remember you could do it on Streamlabs OBS that you can stream it to multiple platforms.
Yeah.
I don't know if Streamlabs still has that option anymore.
Yeah, you just gotta pay for it now.
Mm.
Yeah, part of their premium plan.
It's always the way of doing that.
Yeah.
I remember when I first streamed, I tried doing that, but I was like, what was the point? Because it just really didn't, like there was one time I did try it once, but this was like before I even got affiliate, that
Yeah.
it did nothing. Which is understanding because like again, I was like very, this was like when I was like getting like my first viewer, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like for me doing that, it made me decide, help me decide like, which platform would I want to make, the primary, and obviously that became Twitch.
Yeah. I think even though Twitch might have the lowest revenue ratio, it still has the most fun and interactive chat platform
Hmm.
other than maybe YouTube. If you brought your Twitch chat over to YouTube, then that's different. But if you're starting out and you build your chat on Twitch, then Twitch has the best interactive chats just because of one, how interactive the subs, emotes, and bits are, but also because of the TTS. It's just so fun. And it's really hard for the other platforms to get the TTS right because otherwise you're using third party programs to use TTS.
Hmm. Yeah, and I also
And
know it's even more difficult for Kick because for Kick, this is, I know it's been a while since I've actually looked at Kick, but um, I remember for Kick because it's in beta, it's actually hard for developers uh to create program third party platforms for Kick.
yeah.
Like I actually do had there was one thing I wanted to use for Kick, but I found out I couldn't because there was, I think it was an API, I think it was called, that was not available
Yeah.
for doing stuff for Kick. So, obviously I wasn't able to do that, but and then even with Kick it's just, like all there's there is just, chat. Um there's chat, then I know there's obviously, they're just basically chat and subs, honestly.
Yeah.
And emotes, but there's emotes everywhere, let's be honest.
This is true.
Actually, except for YouTube. I don't think there's emotes for YouTube.
Well, I mean, I think one thing that Twitch has over YouTube is like the sub badges.
Hmm.
Because with YouTube, unless you, I think, work with your partner um, program, you have to use Truffle VIP to bring back all of your Twitch sub stuff to get all of that back on your YouTube. And it's pain because with Truffle you're on a waiting list to see if they'll accept you. So I don't know. It's a long process of what do you really want to do now.
That's definitely understanding. It actually kind of leads to the next question that I do have. So just mentioning, you started off on Twitch, um, but what is it? But now I've noticed, that you've actually been streaming on YouTube. What like made that? What decided for you to make that transition?
Oh, so I guess I wanted to switch to YouTube, not because I didn't hate Twitch or the way it was going, but because the rest of my content was leading towards YouTube and Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And with the rest of it all being there, it just made more sense for the occasional streams to be on YouTube. That way I can just have like the watch list linked in the top right corner of the stream or have the playlist in the description. it just made a little more sense. And especially if I have the shop active, it can just display the products right below the stream. But and plus, I think YouTube also has like triple the amount of users right now than Twitch does. But I don't quote me on that. I made up that statistic.
No, don't worry about that. Nah, it's very tough. I know for a fact to tell like which I would say even though you said don't quote the statistic, I kind of do believe. I'm not gonna say I know for sure. Like I do believe that YouTube does have a more bigger audience compared to Twitch because of what YouTube offers. Like not only do you have like the live streaming and you have the long long form content that you have on YouTube. But now with YouTube introducing short form content with with their YouTube Shorts, like that's a pretty that's you know bringing a lot more people in because now you have people from TikTok now going into YouTube, looking more at YouTube Shorts. Like for me, honestly, like I used to look at TikToks more. That's not the
Yeah,
case anymore. Now I feel like I look at like YouTube Shorts more compared to TikToks.
yeah,
And even with same with like creating content. I used to post a lot on TikTok, but I stopped because YouTube Shorts is just I've gotten more of a better experience with that compared to TikTok.
yeah. And I do feel like there is that truth in uh, YouTube having that more dominance in the creative space because of what they have to offer, like you said. Because while we have the separate platforms like Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube just covers it all in red and calls it their own. But they make it unique and fix it to the creator, which makes it a lot easier to do everything, and it makes it super simple for anybody in any generation to figure out as well. Unlike, I know I was having trouble with this when I was trying to get my grandparents to watch my streams on Twitch. They couldn't figure out the UI. It was really hard for them to figure it out. Whereas they've been on YouTube before, so when I transitioned over to YouTube, it was a seamless click of a button to get them to find my stream.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, Twitch might have a larger streaming space, but they don't have a larger age range in their audience. And I think that's where YouTube has them, because the larger audience you have, the more diverse you can go in both your sellability and your um, diversity in what you can offer for upgradability and pretty much anything.
Okay. Did you ever have any like when you were transitioning from Twitch to YouTube, did you ever have like a hard time like with like at all that transition, or was it just like did things go like smoothly for you?
There was a little bit of hiccups here and there. I know I had to switch from Streamlabs to OBS, which I know I didn't like because my computer didn't like it at the time. So I was having to upgrade parts because like I didn't have a sufficient enough processor at the time to even be streaming. I was running on an i3, um, which at the time I didn't know any of like the proper specs for a streaming computer. So I was like, all right, budget build like to the absolute minimum, and I built a $500 computer, and it worked for a little bit if as long as I wasn't running OBS with recording or um, Streamlabs with overlays, and like I had to keep everything to the absolute minimum, including like game resolution and stuff. But now I have upgraded it to like a $2,500 build, so now everything works just fine. Now I'm back on OBS because OBS fixes everything. It works smoothly now. But one other thing I noticed when I switched to YouTube was YouTube chat has like the largest delay to latency.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, because I mean, it'll show you in the studio normal, low, or ultra low latency. But even if I'm on the ultra low latency, I've noticed that there's still like a 30-second delay. And I would say like it's maybe an internet connection or anything, but I'm hooked up to Ethernet, and that's one thing that the new CEO of YouTube, I think, has been improving on for the YouTube gaming space is chat latency, because I have noticed it is getting better. Slowly but surely, Neil has been fixing things. But it's going to take a long process.
Oh, for sure,
So,
for sure with that, definite. I mean, I know with YouTube, I mean not YouTube, with Twitch, they still have that latency. It hasn't improved over the years. Of course it has. I think it was like maybe after when they got bought by Amazon that it got a lot better. Um
yeah.
but then it also depends on the connection between, what that streamers have. Because I noticed with some streamers, they'll look at it like, like the very minimum that like it's typical. But you do also have like some streamers that do, it'll take like 10 seconds for them to see it.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, with that it's very tough.
Yeah, and it's hard to communicate with the streaming servers and be like, oh yeah, you're gonna get a good server that day, or you're gonna get bad server today. I mean, while you might have a good rig and Ethernet connection on one end, you might not get a good server with a good connection on the other end, which it sucks, but it happens. It really is streaming roulette.
No, it definitely is. So, what is it? So when you went over to YouTube, I did notice, um, you know, you really focused a lot on music.
Yes.
And then I noticed that you changed your name because it used to be Flamingo Gamer, but then you changed it to Flamingo Beats.
Yeah. So this is another story that I ended up talking about on the third episode of my podcast. Um, I got asked how do I have so many subscribers, and it was because right around that time when I switched my name to Flamingo Beats and started making music, I ended up buying out my younger sister's channel because my mother, she didn't want uh, my sister to have a YouTube channel at like age 9, which is kind of understandable, but also the child was so close to monetization. So it could have helped, but oh well. But I can't pass it up because the child had 1.3 thousand subscribers and was only uploading YouTube shorts. Some of them were ripped from TikTok and just reposted, and some of them were her own. One of them is, I haven't deleted it, but is still privated. It has 100,000 views. It's a reposted YouTube short of Rainbow Friends. Why? I have no idea. But that is her most viral YouTube short. But to refocus on the topic of why I changed my name to Flamingo Beats is because I was trying to find a name on Spotify that was close enough to Flamingo Gamer that hadn't been taken, but also had a spin on music with it. And with it being beats and not like piano or guitar or whatever, that would imply that I was going to be doing like lo-fi tracks or 10 hours of rain kind of thing. And to be honest, that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's been super nice. And even though some of them are covers of anime openings or endings, it still comes with the originals, and it's been proving either poorly or very successful. And it's just been a super nice, easy workload, but also something a little more fun to do. And when I get the chance, I can upload music videos to the YouTube channel, um, which I plan on doing later this week, hopefully, for 3 songs. But I want to say that it really wasn't fully planned out as much as I think it was, because I was just trying to think of something better to do. And because originally the Flamingo Gamer was, I found the plastic yard flamingos at the walk for Epilepsy, and they were painted purple, and I was like, oh my god, I want one. And then all of a sudden everything I did was like flamingo themed, and then I renamed my Xbox username Flamingo and then added like gamer. I was like, all right, this sounds cool for like a 16-year-old. And then I wanted to change it because it sounded corny for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So then I ended up switching to Matt Plays Games before, like in that little dead period between Flamingo Gamer and Flamingo Beats. I think my only account that still has Matt Plays Games is my Twitter. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it that I can think of for why I switched my name.
Yeah, I did take, what was it? I know before we started recording, I actually did have I did take some time to listen to your stuff. Um
Yeah.
the one thing I'll say is that for your music, there's never it's more rhythm. It focuses more on the rhythm than the vocals. I mean, than vocal.
Yeah.
Is there like a particular reason for that, or is it just like, your specific style of music that that you prefer to make?
Yeah, so I want to say around 2021, I got into the lo-fi genre that was popping up all around YouTube. And I'm pretty sure everyone who's listening is familiar with the lo-fi girl. And I was like, this sounds amazing. And then I wanted to start making music of my own. And, how I mentioned anime covers, so if you remember, I said on one of your Wednesday streams that I had to work on writing lyrics for one of my anime covers. And I did. I planned on singing, but I went to record vocals, and without actually hiring anybody, it doesn't sound good. There was a reason I failed choir class, and I know why now.
Oh no.
So yeah, that was another thing I've been thinking on is I failed both choir and band class. I don't think I would have failed band class if I didn't pick the trombone. I chose like the hardest brass instrument
Mm-hmm.
for a 12-year-old. Um, and I ended up faking all the concerts. I never turned any of the practice sheets in. But I was never like really enthused to do any of the music at the time when I was taking both those classes. And now here I am learning music theory from writing lyrics for maybe 4 hours out of my day each week and making music on my own as an independent artist. And yeah, I wanted to focus more on lo-fi music and background noise because one of my big claims with like my unreleased music on YouTube was
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to make it for YouTube creators or streamers on Twitch as well, that they could use it in their streams or videos. Because that was one thing I was noticing as a streamer myself was that there was not enough copyright free music out there. And if there was, it didn't particularly sound good. And so I went out of my way to try and make music for those of us who did stream and let us use it. Until Ludwig came along and spent money to not make any money on music for streamers. And then so did Harris Heller. So it was a losing battle, but I tried. Now I just do it for fun.
No, it's actually funny. It's funny how you mentioned the story about you and the trombone because when I was a child, I when I was a child in like elementary school, that's when I started learning to play the trumpet. I sucked at playing the trumpet. And
One of like
yeah, the trumpet was just like the I don't know why I was having such an issue with it. I'm assuming I just wasn't really good at reading band notes that well.
yeah.
Um and then ironically, I had my tonsils taken out.
Oh
So I couldn't play the trumpet anymore because obviously, it takes a lot of force to, to perform the trumpet.
yeah.
And so for the concert, the teacher um who was the band teacher basically had me play the bass drum, which was, just there wasn't any particular like, B note, C note. It was just, you just the one note was just hit it at this time,
Yeah.
which was super easy. Um no, but then what happened was that I think it was like the day after the band concert, the teacher wanted to teach me personally for something, and I was like, this is weird. Like I've never, had a personal like music lesson before on something.
Yeah.
And so what happened was that the person who was, playing the snare drum, she actually said that she wasn't, she was either like not gonna, do band, or she was gonna, do I think some other instrument like for middle school. And so my teacher gave me like a private lesson on playing the snare drum. And it was like focusing a lot more on like, on the rolls and like,
Oh,
on like the
cool.
2/8 and all that stuff. So it was very that's when I would say like, I started, in percussion and me started to, go, then middle school I learned, like the other different instruments, and then, obviously high school, ended on a high note after there. Um so it's like it's completely understanding with your whole story on like the trombone basically. And
Yeah.
because for some instruments it's just tough. Like it's some people think like, and this is why I kind of my first choice of instrument I wanted to try was a saxophone. Thank God I didn't get chosen for the saxophone because I if I was chosen for the saxophone, oh boy, I don't know what my response would have been for that.
Funny you mentioned the saxophone. I was I went to the music shop to actually go and look for a saxophone.
Oh
They
really?
didn't have any. So I called my band teacher and asked her what spots are open and so that I know what to look for. And she's all, you either get a guitar or a trombone. And I was thinking, I've played an electric guitar before with the game Guitarsmith, and I was like, I don't want to relive that because that seems hard. So I went with the trombone, and that went way worse. I should have went with the guitar because now I'm 18 and my best friend, his brother, taught me how to play the acoustic guitar. So now I can play Stairway to Heaven on an acoustic guitar.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't have one on me. He still hasn't given me his spare guitar yet, so I'm
Mm.
still waiting on that. And now I'm learning to play piano from my best friend, so that's been cool. Um, I still need to get a piano for myself. I don't even have anywhere in my room to fit it. So,
So for your
okay.
music, have you been using like what have you been you like have you been using like GarageBand or like
I
what's
would. I wish I was using GarageBand. That would make my life so much easier.
yeah
That'd
like
probably be the only reason I get a Mac.
so like what's your process on like creating like all this music that you're putting on Spotify right now?
So, Um, I got an email from Spotify about 5 months ago saying, "Hey, do you want to use our Spotify program using what's it called? Soundtrap? I think it's called Soundtrap." Um, they're like, "Hey, you want to use this program? It's completely free. It has loops, custom-made chords, anything. And if you don't want to use the loops or anything that we made, you can make it yourself too, if you have an ear for that." Um, and so I've been using that for like 5 to 6 months now, and like one of my upcoming songs has that I ended up reworking. I'll have to send you the original file. That way you can listen to it. But uh, I released it on YouTube in December of 22. It now it it was a goofy song. I It was about 6 minutes long. I ended up reworking the song for about 7 minutes, and now it is now an officially produced song from Spotify. And now it's going to be released this weekend.
Okay. What's the name of that song?
Um, the name of the song now is "Sorry." Um, right now, it's on my YouTube. It's privated, I think. I'll look that up real quick. I pray to God it's privated.
I think
I
so.
I think that's one of the things I did was like all my old music was I just privated the playlist
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't ashamed of like the music I made with me and my friend, but I was ashamed of like the names I put on them because I was goofy. Um, where is it? Flamingo Beats. Show me the playlist. Okay, so I guess my first like actually produced music before I was on Spotify was Midnight Drug. I ended up posting that on YouTube. It did pretty well. Why it has gaming hashtags on it, I have no clue. Uh, I did not actually post it on. I posted it in the full album because give me the shareable link. Okay, it's in here somewhere. I just want to see the description. Yeah, I that was one thing I did with a bunch of my music before I was on Spotify was I would just go into whatever free studio app I could find and just use some loops and adjust it to until it sounded good. Um, but now I am with Spotify for both music and their studio making services. Um, and it sounds pretty good. And it's not like a terrible free service. It does come with a lot more when you uh, pay for it, but you get so much for just the free version. But it works. It's so cool. I hate this album. Yeah, and then I guess more recently I wanted to get into doing anime covers and um so then I ended up looking up either licenses for the actual songs, but if I wanted to do that I had to get it with the pre-recorded audio that came with the songs. So um I didn't want to do that because it also came with the vocals that were already threaded with the song. So I ended up looking up different artists that had like either piano covers or guitar covers of the songs and asking them if I can distort it enough to for the point that it's not theirs and it doesn't get me claimed for theirs. And then distorting a rain cover behind it because I wanted to give it that lo-fi vibe. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes because I have two anime covers coming out this Friday. I guess this Friday.
And that's gonna be on your YouTube, right?
Nope, that is going to be my Spotify.
Oh, okay, on your Spotify.
Yeah,
All right, we'll definitely check that out.
yeah. If I was planning on doing them on just my YouTube if I was gonna do singing, but then I ended up not doing singing because I was like, oh, I can't do that. And I tried to get Fiverr actors to sing, and none of them were wanting to do the lyrics I sent them. So I was like, okay, fine. Guess I'm not getting any vocals for my project. And this was due last June. And I was like, okay, I'm already late for this project. So now I'm just cutting all the vocals and then just having it produced for a lo-fi album and just getting it done now. So it's been really crazy. Ah,
I'm surprised I didn't want to sing.
yeah, it's literally free promotion. And I was trying to get a deal with one of them to where I could like have their artist profile as a 50-50 cut. So where they would get royalties for their voice in my song. And they were like, sorry, I can't do that. You can't get money? It's free money. I guess they don't want free money. No free money for them. Okay.
Oh man, no free money for them.
No free money.
so,
Lunatics.
um, so, um, so knowing you, what was it? You mentioned the epilepsy awareness walk. You also mentioned stream for epilepsy. Um,
Yes.
the one thing I do know about you, I've known this obviously, known you for a long time. Um, that you were actually diagnosed with epilepsy when you were a child.
Yes, when I was 2 years old,
Yeah.
and it was it was a rough childhood up until I think I was 6. I was I was having seizures left and right. I was could have almost qualified for disability back then, but um, once I was 6, I ended up having the longest seizure-free period that I've ever had, which was 9 years seizure-free, and then um, I relapsed in 5th grade while I was in class, and it was a scary sight for all my classmates. They were in absolute shock because, you're on the playground and all of a sudden your classmates just on the floor and just shaking and he's unconscious. There's no teacher in sight. So I think I ended up taking 3 months off of school from then.
Yeah. I mean,
It's been a battle.
yeah, no, it's what is it? It reminds me when I was in high school that I, sometimes I would have to go to the hospital for I'd say maybe like either whether it would be a couple of days to, a couple of weeks for, for testing on medication. And this was like when my seizures were like, very active, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, at the times that I would come back to school, there would be some people like literally, like being like, like where have you been? Like we thought you were dead. Like I would get a bunch of those responses so many times. And, obviously I would be, joking like, "No, I'm still here." But then in like internally in my mind I'm like, "Yeah, just shut the fuck up." Like I would just like, I would literally
The
just be
internal
like,
hatred.
I would literally just be like, shut the f- up. Like, that's really it. Like,
I've never gotten any of those responses, but it it does feel that way a lot of the time because you'll go and you'll be gone for like 2 weeks, and especially in like my case when I was out for 2 weeks of work after my latest seizure, no one knows where you are, and especially in like my job, they'll just think, oh, he had 2 weeks off of work, he's on vacation. um but when you're gone for like a month or a month and a half, then people are like, where is he, where is she, where'd they go? But then when you come back, it's like, oh, let's just play it off as a joke. And it's like, what? Where did this audacity come from? Like, because if I didn't come back, what would the actual response be? Like, where is the actual emotion? Because aren't we supposed to care for one another? But I don't know. People are very insensitive towards one another and very, very egotistical a lot of the time.
when you had, what was it? How are you doing, like, today regarding like your seizures? Like, are you like very active still or?
No, so that was the one thing I never understood about my seizures was that they the only time I was like really active was when I was first diagnosed, and it was only that 4 year period that I was extremely active, and now it'll just come and go. Like I'll be I'll be good for 4 years and then boom, it's gone or it'll hit. And the crazy thing about my seizures, I don't know if I've told you this, is that I don't know any of my triggers. None of them. I've had every seizure known to man that the doctors told me, and I know no triggers. I've tried being sleep deprived. That doesn't set it off. Flashing lights doesn't set it off. Being in higher temp areas, like I guess being like dried out, like dehydrated, dried out. Uh, that doesn't set it off because I know my friend Connor, he he has the trigger of being dehydrated,
Mm-hmm.
and he has seizures very quite often, and he can't take hot showers anymore. And I know he was just diagnosed with his epilepsy, and it's still very hard for him to get used to not taking hot showers. And for the last like 3 months, he was taking hot showers, and boom, just back and forth. It was seizures in the showers constantly. It was rough hearing about that, but um, it it's been a challenge trying to figure out what my my uh triggers are and my actual causes, because we've done every test that I can even think of, like even things like radioactive eggs or every 6 month an EEG. It's it's crazy that every time we do one of these tests, we get no data back. On top of like we've done a genealogy test and we've gotten data back that says no one in your family has had seizures before, and yet this child right here is having every seizure known to man, but we can't figure out why. And I don't know, it's like one of those Greek mythologies, and you're trying to figure out, is Zeus a god or a man with powers? And you don't really know the answer, but you know different theories, I guess is the best analogy.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I know for me, like, you know, just like with you, I didn't really know like what my triggers were.
Yeah.
It took, oh man, I would say it took about a couple, maybe 3 years to figure out. It took 3 years to figure out that my triggers were actually technically, anxiety, but you know, but I could tell that when a seizure was happening,
Yeah.
all because of a sequence. And it's actually interesting because I bet you've never heard this, but I could tell it from the sequence of tone of sound.
Oh.
Yeah. And then so obviously, a lot of people were lost, well, except for the neurologist, but a lot of people were lost on, how could he be doing this? You know what I mean? Like, how could he be doing this?
It's
And
weird.
yeah, and obviously, for obviously it was considered an aura, and for people who don't know, it's, basically auras are signs that people know when a seizure is about to happen. Um and I've had that aura, like literally until like the very end, when I actually, had, the surgery. And it was ironic because it was at that time, that's when the doctor said, yeah, so we found the location of where of where the seizures are coming from, and it's actually from the part of your brain that is in charge of auditory processing. So
How?
so when we figured that out, that's when it just became clear. Now we know why his auras were, based on the sequence of tone of sound, which
That's
was very
weird.
crazy.
I've never heard of anything like that.
No, no one really has. And for me, it was even more tough because, like, I have a completely healthy brain, but I was somehow still having seizures. So,
Yeah, th- that's what I've been told too, as well. Healthy brain, but lots of seizures.
yeah. So obviously, with that being tough, and then I've tried medications and stuff, but you know, they were always like it works for like the first few months, but then my body just adapts to them, and then I would be back to having seizures again, and
Yeah,
which is why I was hospitalized like so many times because of that.
yeah, I think that's probably my main issue right now is that I'll get used to a medication after 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that 2 years, that's usually when it happens. On my last three medications, every second year, I was back in the hospital. And then I went on that 5 year period of Zonogran, and then it was fine. But now I was doing fine on just one pill of Zonogran day and night. But then now I've back to being adjusted to two pills. And the only downside to taking two pills of most of these pills, or most of these different pills, is that you're extremely exhausted. And, you know, when you're going to work constantly, or even if you're in school, you can't be falling asleep on the job or in class. And so I've had to look for stimulants to counteract the overwhelming drowsiness that the Zonogran gives me on two pills. And I've tried everything from energy drinks to all natural, um, stimulants, and even like hot tea or coffee that my doctor actually prescribed me for a week, and I couldn't do it because coffee just tastes nasty. But that's my personal preference. So then I switched to tea, and tea helped with my sleep because I was getting terrible sleep. But it was extremely caffeinated tea that was helping me sleep better.
How?
I don't know. Because my doctor was telling me if you're going to drink tea before you go to bed, drink low caffeinated tea or no caffeine tea at all. And I was staying up until like 3 in the morning when I was doing that. I was drinking like the lowest caffeinated tea I could find. And I was up until like 4 in the morning. But then I switched to hot Earl Grey tea, which is the highest caffeinated tea. And I was asleep by 11:30, which is wild that something more caffeinated than the low caffeine is more capable of putting you to sleep than the one that the doctor actually prescribed me. But that was for my sleep. I need to stay awake throughout the day. So when I switched to the Costco job, one of my coworkers who actually reached out to me after my 2 week hiatus in April um, talked to me about one of the products she demos, which is Liquid IV. They just came out with their energy multiplier, which is just all natural energy stimulants
Mm-hmm.
put into water. And it's a yuzu and pineapple flavor. And all I have to do is mix it in with some water and then drink it every morning before I go to work. And it's been helping a lot because the only downside with like energy drinks and plant-based energy drinks is that there's a drag afterwards. And I might like energy drinks and soda and stuff like that, but I hate the drag after. The one thing I've noticed with liquid IV is that there's no drag afterwards because you're still drinking water. So it's been nice
I mean, the
finally finding something that works.
but honestly, what's it called, Matt? I really do appreciate taking your time. And actually finally having time in our schedules to, to actually work with each other.
Yeah, finally we did it. The collab we've all been waiting for.
The one we've all been waiting for.
Woo.
But Matt, while you do have the time, what's it called? Share your socials, share what you're working on, share what's coming up. You know,
Yeah.
take the spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys don't already follow me, I am on Spotify and YouTube. You can follow me at Matt/FlamingoBeats on YouTube and just Flamingo Beats on Spotify. I have 3 new releases coming out this weekend, both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all brand new. If you like anime, I have anime covers coming out for Odd Taxi and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. They're going to be great, and they're going to be lo-fi, so you can enjoy them while you're playing some games. But if you're into gaming content and music videos, you can follow me on YouTube. Or follow me on Instagram if you like funny pictures of dogs. That's about it.
I just want to take the time to thank you guys again for listening in for today's episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I had a bunch of fun having a conversation with Matt regarding all these topics. And I will be soon offering the invitation to anyone who wants to join in for, a chance to talk and to be in the next episode. So be on the lookout for Google Forms to be coming out in the near future. And if you guys do want to follow me on social media, y'all can follow me on social media at coolboy_ny. It used to be OCC Coolboy, but with the whole new name change, now it's, coolboy_ny. You guys can find me on Twitter, and you guys can find me also on Instagram as well on there. And if you guys have any topics or, any topics to be discussed or have any ideas for future episodes, whether it be for people to talk to or topics to discuss, you're more than welcome to, obviously, DM it to me or, just talk to me about it. And yeah. But again, thank you guys for listening in, and I hope to have you guys listen in on the next episode. Y'all have a wonderful day.